Please, everybody, just relax. You can see people are a bit tense, so just relax. Yes, I would officially like to welcome the president to open up. No, I open up the meeting. So please welcome the president. And, okay.
Thank you, Oscar. He needs to do one more announcement quickly.
Yes, please. The attendance book will be pushing around, so just write your. And I'm sure there's voting cards on your tables, so please just vote for who you think is the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oscar. Good evening, everybody. Please greet me with a smile. I need that. Yes, great. Do you know that it is our 237th meeting tonight at Swakopmund Toastmasters? We have some of our founder members here, and I feel very proud that they still sit here. Thank you, Monica and B, Granny B, for bringing Toastmasters to Swakopmund. Yes. On Friday night, I went away for the weekend. And we went to visit friends in Swakopmund. It's a terrible road if you ever travel that. But the point I want to make is this morning at 5 when we drove back, I had this feeling that I need to just concentrate and think about what life is about. We had 2 sets of friends there. We were actually 4 sets of friends. 2 of those had farms. One in the south and one at Swakopmund. And we all talked about the drought and the recession, but we still enjoyed each other's company. 2 of those couples are facing drought, and 2 of those couples are facing their businesses at risk. And when I drove back, I thought, we have a theme tonight, Alt, Control, Delete. And I just thought, that's exactly what we did this weekend. We went there was no cell phone reception, for those of you that want to get hold of me. Sorry. And I just thought, after this, we all needed to reboot. Reboot on your computer is Control, Alt, Delete. I said it the other way just now. It is when you restart. This doesn't only apply to computers, but it applies to us as well. In your friendships, in your relationships with your partner or other people, in your business, and in general in life. Sometimes we just need to sit down and maybe just reboot and rethink life. And that's what it is all about tonight. I have this slide that is very nice. Control says, control yourself. Alt, alter your thoughts. Think differently about your problems or your obstacles that you cannot overcome. And then, for me, the most important thing is to delete the negativity. Don't you think this is brilliant? If you follow those simple steps, just think about them, keep them in your mind, and every now and then, just reboot. Just switch off, get away from everything, and just stare at the moon like I did. Now, I would like to introduce our Toastmaster of the evening. His name is Abasai Constantinus, and he is one of our new members. He is not a new Toastmaster though, but he is a new member in Swakopmund. He transferred from UCT in Cape Town, UCT Toastmasters in Cape Town, and we are very honored to have him here. He was raised in Oshikontu, is it right?
Swakopmund region, yeah.
Kotu, and in the region Onankali. I did it. He's a maritime specialist by profession. He loves football, like all men.
And
He loves jazz, and he loves theatre. Please help me to welcome Abisai Constantinos.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I'm very excited to be your Toastmasters for tonight. If I can just skip a few and just get into the business of things. We have the theme for the night, Control Alt Delete, right?
Yes.
And we got a very nice presentation there. But just a quick definition of what Control Alt Delete is. I got a nice definition here. It's a computer keyboard command on IBM PC compatible computers. It's also known in IT as the 3-finger salute, or the security keys. So we got a nice presentation. I just copied some thoughts here. Control is control yourself, which I got. Alt is for all alternatives, and delete is delete situations that give you tension and negativity. So practically, if the Earth gets hit by an asteroid, it's Control Alt Delete for civilization. So, okay, and with that, I'm going to go on to introduce our speeches. We're going to go into our structure. But first, before I go, there's certain roles that are generic to any Toastmasters meeting. I think I'm going to start with those. So we have our grammarian. Our grammarian is going to be, let me just quickly check, Julius Kemba Tulimangapi. Is that right? So you won't come. So can we get a volunteer for the grammarian? Or do I have the wrong agenda?
No, you have the right agenda.
No, that is one.
He's just not here, that's all.
Okay. So maybe while I'm going through, we can just get some thoughts on the grammarian. Okay. So basically, the grammarian, you're like the wordsmith for the day. You know, you give us the word of the day, and then you count the ums and ahs. So basically, you teach us good English. Yeah. And then we have, I think we have the table topics.
No, toast of the day.
Or toast of the day, right? So toast of the day is usually a speech that is limited to 30 seconds or so. But it can be a joke or something, right? Okay. And then we have, let me just go through this. And then we have, which one is the table topics master? Martha. Is she here? Martha.
Yes. Martha's not here.
Okay, so now it's going to be Matthias, right? Okay. So the table topics is basically, it's to give us exercise to practice impromptu speaking. So basically thinking when you talk, sort of. And then we have our timekeeper, who's going to be Mwahafa Shilong, right? Yes. I'm sorry, I have to skip the English name. I have to go to because I like it. Mwahafa means happiness.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I'll be your Toastmaster. Okay, so for our speeches, I think we have good material lined up for today. We have our first speaker is going to be Eric Mans. Eric, I think I didn't get your topic, but anyway, Eric will be, yeah, it's going to be an icebreaker, yeah. So Eric is going to give us a speech on any topic using any style that appeals. Okay. Our second speaker is going to be Madame Veronica Alvarez, and she's going to talk about cohabitation. Cohabitation is a nice one because it fits into the theme Control Alt Delete. Yeah. And she's going to be speaking about, I think it's part of a persuasive influence pathways. And then Abisai Constantinos is going to speak about a speech entitled "No One Told Me Grief Felt So Much Like Fear." Okay. And then the fourth speaker will be Ms. Lisa Hooks, and she's going to talk about mentorship and epic journey. And then our fifth speaker will be Monica von Wietersheim, and she's going to be speaking about Orders of Love by Bert Hellinger. Right? So I believe all our topics, they fit in line with our themes. And without further ado, I'm going to cut straight into the program, and then I'm going to who's first on the program? And then we just go. Should we still do the introduction by the grammarian? Or should we just skip? The word of the day, right? Okay. So now I'm going to give the floor to the grammarian, just to give us maybe the word of the day.
Glass close to you and rise with me. Rise with me, please. Rise with me. So, we have all been caught up in life. We have reached a level where you don't know what to do next. And sometimes we're just like, wow, I think this is it. But today we are reminded that there is still hope. We are reminded that we can start over again. Control Alt Delete. Let's obliterate negativity and cheers to a new start.
Wow. Literate negativity. Literate negativity. There we go. Literate negativity.
Yes.
Cheers.
Good word. Literate.
Thank you.
It's you to say
Thank you so much.
Very nice groups. So now we're going to get into the yeast of things. We're going to call Mr. Eric Mans for his icebreaker.
hello, what do I have here? This is the most gorgeous, beautiful woman I ever saw in my life. And this is the day in winter, many years back when I met my wife, Rihanna. On that day, it was really a present for me because it was Christmas Day. I was all on my own. I was a police officer. And I thought, what I'm going to do to share this day with someone that I really enjoyed with. So I met this lovely woman on the road while I was driving with my motorbike to go and get the keys from people I know to look after their property while they go on holiday. But we all know the story. So when I met her on the motorbike, and she was on her bike, I said, "Oh, sorry, I thought I know you." Isn't that the first excuse always that we have when we greet a woman? And then we say, "Oh, sorry, I thought I know you." And she just looked at me and I said to her, "I'm a little bit in a hurry. Can you follow me? I'm just going to go and pick up the keys." from my friend's place? And she said, yes. So I drive off and she followed me. And when I looked in my mirror, she just came past me when I pulled over to the house. And I thought, okay, well, it's just one of those things. Later on, the telephone at the police barracks rang, and it was this young lady looking for me. She got my name. So I found out that her dad is a colonel in the police. So she knows how to track me down. She knows the shifts and everything. 9 months later, we got married.
Wow.
And we're still married today. It's the same woman. We married for 32 years. Together we have 2 beautiful boys. The oldest one is Philip. He is now almost 31 years old. He resides in New Zealand. He's married to a Kiwi lady. And they have a beautiful young grandson, which we haven't met yet.
Oh.
But that's not a problem, because they will be here in a month's time to come and visit us. And then we will just adore him and we will just enjoy him. Philip in New Zealand decided to go and study. And he got a degree in computers. Computers is his life. He really enjoys that. And for us as parents, we're very proud of him for making the decision to go and study and make something of his life. We have another boy who came with us because we immigrated to New Zealand in 2007, and we lived there for 9 years. And most of us, or all of us, got some education there. My wife, for instance, is a full qualified chef up to level 5, and she also has got a degree, not a degree, but a diploma in City and Guilds. That's a London qualification in chefing. And today she got her own business from home, baking, and also do some chefing from time to time as the time allows her to do. But Riku, the youngest one, he decided to come back with us. We came back here with nothing, but we started the business in Walvis Bay, in the security industry, because that's my background of being a police officer for almost 10 years. Then I went into the security industry, and it's just been a good journey for me, being in the security and police, because that's what I do. In New Zealand, I was in the correctional services, where I also was a senior officer. So I know this industry very well. So we started a business in Walvis Bay, and then when my brother-in-law decided to go back to New Zealand, we see the opportunity to expand the business. So I've taken over the branch here in Swakop as well. And my youngest son, Riku, he is now the manager in Walvis, looking after the business there. I just want to close with this. If you have a dream, go for it. Today I'm still happy, and I'm so glad that I'm married to the same woman that I've met a couple of years back. If it wasn't for her, I would have been nothing. Behind every man is always being a successful woman. And that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you very much.
See, really control our leader. So we have dreams, we have journey, we have love, and we have studying over. Thank you. A very nice speech. And next we have Veronica Abesses, who's going to be talking about cohabitation.
Yeah. Good evening.
Ta-da.
Yeah, the topic that I will be addressing today is cohabitation. You know, cohabitation is like an in thing now. People would rather like to stay together for reasons like to escape the traditional ways of getting legally married or getting lawfully married or staying together legally for that matter. And they will say, convince us by saying, I don't need to spend. And the woman will say, oh, with equal rights, there's no man dominance. So, but what are the advantages of staying together? Staying with another woman's baby that becomes your child initially. Whether it's a woman or a man, you need to take care of him or her. You need to share expenses. You need to share your house, your bed, and all those things. You know, when we talk about cohabitation, the only thing that is not there legally is the marriage certificate. You'll allow somebody to touch you romantically. You will allow somebody to be intimate with you. And spiritually speaking, traditionally speaking, that is not allowed. This is about values. This is about integrity. This is about tradition. And this is about religion. And this is about godliness. So we will come back to control. Who's going to control the finances? Who's going to control my emotions? Who's going to control my values? Is it me or is it the cohabitant? And habitation needs to take place in a house because that's where living starts. And when living starts, God must be involved because He has granted you the opportunity to live. But what does God say about cohabitation? How can I cohabitate if the one that has given me life is saying, let every man have his own wife and every woman have her own husband? Am I going to be touched by a cohabitant or wait for my own husband to be my own husband and me being his own wife, so that I will be touching in the way God has created me to be touched or to touch my husband? Is it because of the material needs? Is it because of the status that I will get when I will be staying with a certain man that I will allow to go for the cohabitation? If you would be going to a shop, you will decide on the bread. There are many types of bread, isn't it? And then you will decide on what type of bread you want for yourself. And after you have bought it or selected, you first select and then you pay for it and then you take it home and you will prepare it whether with peanut butter and jam or cheese, salami and tomato. Depends on you. But then it is your bread. And you will put up what you need on that bread so that you might enjoy it, isn't it? Because it's your property. Whenever you think about cohabitation, there is an if. And if is stated very clearly. Whenever somebody is talking about if I will be able, if the time allows me, if, that is a clear-cut indication that it is if, which means I for insecure and F for future. So if I am not sure about my future, I will cohabitate. Do I go for cohabitate to alter the possibility of having another way that I can get out of this relationship that I'm in? Or will I think about the negative influence that it might have on me as a woman? Or you would like to become a respected social being in the community that you're living? Will you be looking at the statistics that are saying in Namibia, in Caprivi, only 2% of people are cohabitating, while in the Ochogon Juba region, 13% of people are cohabitating? What does it tell you? Is it the mission? Or is it the status? Cohabitation is a sin, even though people decide to cohabitate anyway. I thank you.
I think after that speech, we can all say, control our delete. I really like how you put if, I for insecure and F for future. You know, on this topic, I read a quote, I think it's by Denzel Washington. He said, everyone is following a trend now, right? But he can't wait until morals, ethics, respect come back and become a trend again. So, for now, we are going to give the floor to another speaker, Abisai Konstantinos. You know, last week I lost my cousin. He was like a brother to me. We grew up together in Omaru, so we were all brought up by my grandfather. And in many senses, even though he's my cousin, I think he was more than that to me, because all my childhood memories, he's there. My very first experiences is there. We called him Jalos. His name was Jacobus, but we called him Jalos. And Jalos because, you know, we speak street slang, so we don't speak the normal Afrikaans. We mix it up. And we call him Jalos because he was a happy soul. You know? So, Jalos, in many instances, even though life was not as kind to him like me, you know, and we ended up perhaps what we call on opposite economic poles. Jalos was very much a part of my life. I started a construction company before I went to study, and I would make every excuse to have Jalos over. He was my painter, and if there was no job, he would always come and stay in my house, at least for 1 month, maybe twice a year or so. You see, Jalos is one of those people, I don't know, maybe some of you have met people, but Jalos was just one of those people. His presence, you know, he just makes everybody happy. And for example, he would dance reggae, and he would pull me up and say, Boko, Boko, that's like my football name, come dance. And he would just dance, you know, and I guess maybe in many ways, I never grew up in his eyes. See, and Jalos just left from Swakopmund 3 weeks ago. He was in my house. He actually came to paint my house. And then last week Thursday I had Jalos passed away. And you see, this experience perhaps maybe it taught me something. It taught me something because since we're speaking about control algorithm, it taught me a number of things. The most painful way maybe we learn lessons is through the loss of a loved one. And you see, I've learned that grief is many ways love, and just probably love unsaid. It's all the words that you perhaps thought you would say and never really got to say them. It's all the experiences, that you probably want plan to say, but then you can't. And it's all that love, and that love, it gathers up in the corners of your eyes, and then it becomes a lump in your throat, and then that hollow feeling in your chest. And that's what I feel grief is to me. Through the loss of Jalos, I've also learned a few lessons from life. The first of all is not all losses are equal. See, that's the first thing I've learned. Because so many people would say, I understand your loss. And I know they mean well when they say, you get over it. But to be honest, you don't have a faint idea what it means. Because, you see, Jalos to me is almost the part of who I am, who I really am. You guys have no idea when you tell a joke, or you tell it in English, in Afrikaans, in Herero, and in Bamuta, and the person understands the flow. And he has this thing. He was 4 years older than I am, but all my memories. Like I would come on site, he would be sleeping, right, during working hours, and I would say, "Nee, my Jalos, you pain man. Who went in? He said, "Kiki, so I'll let you pass." I can see you're older than I'm not your age mate, And in many ways, even though maybe I would act angry, I like that. So, what you have to do, I feel, when a person loses someone is basically, you must walk with them. And you must allow them to the process of healing to take its natural course. And to show them acceptance. Because by trying to erase someone's pain, you're telling them it can be fixed, and you can't. See? Secondly, I've learned that grief is the birth pain of starting over. You see, because when we press Control-Alt-Delete, we start over. And we have to start a new journey because our partner, our soul, is no longer the same. You see, we're starting over with new bits and pieces. And that takes time to get used to. For the first time in my life, I understand how a person can consciously decide to commit suicide. And not because they were deranged or depressed or obliterated of all options, but because they know they will never be as happy anymore. Things will never get like that again. And so if we have to continue in life, we start a new chapter now with new perspectives, and we start over with new lessons, and we start over however we have it. There's a saying that goes, the song is ended but the melody continues. That's all that we're left with. See, the third lesson I learned is grief is a new definition of self. And it fills me with fear, It really fills me with fear. I now realize life is short. I realize also life is precious. And we need to live it. I realize the most important thing in life perhaps is family and friends and the time we spend with them. And I fear that we're going to lose some of our loved ones before they really know how much we love them. And so to close my speech, I'll leave you with Jamal's favorite lyrics. He said, "Give me a paper and a pen so I can write about my life of sin, a couple bottles of gin in case I don't get in, Tell all my people I'm a rider. Nobody cries when we die. We outlaws, let me ride. Until I get free, I live my life on a fast lane. Thank you. And with that, our call on Ms. Lisa Hooks to give us a speech about mentoring.
I think other siders need to salute you for a very brave speech. Now I'm supposed to continue with mine after that. Itzhak Perlman. Is that a name familiar to you? Itzhak Perlman. He's a Jewish violinist. He's probably in his time the most incredible violinist of his generation. I think if any of you want to Google him, you cannot believe what this man can speak through a violin. But it didn't just happen. He didn't just improve overnight suddenly. And he himself says in an interview that he ascribes his continuous growth to a mentor, a lifelong mentor and partner and actually coach. Surprisingly, his wife, as Eric said, behind every successful man there often is a strong woman. And his wife's name is Toby. What I found remarkable was that this woman was a concert violinist in her own right. She and Perlman studied at the Juilliard, which is the most fabulous music school in the world. And she then, once they graduated, she gave up her career to become her husband's coach / mentor. She would sit in every concert that he would play, quietly observing, and then afterwards she'd give him feedback. Itzhak, there in the middle section, it was a bit mechanical. How could you do things different next time? It was those small little details. And he himself says, without her help, he would never ever have achieved the success that he did. I think doing it our own way and doing it on our own and our very strong cries of individualism should be out-controlled and deleted. We need to face the fact that we are in desperate need of each other's help on this journey through life. Having said that, let me greet you. Good evening, Master Toastmaster, my fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. Obviously, my talk this evening is on mentorship, but specifically on how that helps us along our epic journey of life, so that we know that we are not so alone. Now, a mentor is either formally appointed, so you would have somebody, this is your mentor, I'm the mentee, nice to meet you. And we know that that relationship formally exists. But there is also another form of mentorship that I will call silent mentorship. And I've actually used this sneakily. This is when you observe a person or people around you. They could either be a positive role model or a negative one. And you decide, they have aspects of their way of doing things that you would like to emulate. They never need to know that they are your silent mentor. And I can think of 3 particular women in my life, and I'll point out one this evening. I used to look at this woman. She was like the paragon of virtue. I actually need to admit this before I carry on, that I was really jealous of her. She's so perfect. She always knows exactly what to say. She comes alongside other people and she knows just the right way to help them without making them feel stupid. She will do the most self-sacrificial things that you think, you're crazy lady, do you have a life? What do you think you're doing, spending a night sleeping with a lady who's got Alzheimer's because she gets up in the night, is completely deranged and confused? And I look at my own life and I think, whoa, I have a long way to grow. Fortunately, I did grow up enough to select this one example as my silent mentor. And I can say the journey was uncomfortable. Didn't like changing. It really is not nice seeing somebody else being good at something that you wish you were good at. And you know, then there are those little times in the pathway where you're like, I'm actually regressing. I'm doing worse than I used to do. Is there any progress? And I can only say at the end of the road, there are even parts that still need to be plowed over because the ground is still stony and rocky and hard. It takes time. But I can say, at the end of this journey, I have been doubly blessed. On the one hand, my silent mentor, I can now call friend, and she's fabulous. I wish you could all have her as a friend. And secondly, I have reaped a harvest of lessons through her life. We cannot do this epic journey of life on our own. We all need to have somebody with objective eyes to diagnose those areas in our lives that we don't want to look at.
Yeah.
We all need a little bit of surgery, don't we? We all need to have a mentor physician. Now, I need to quickly refer to this last final example. This was a doctor called Atul Gawande. See, you'll forgive me because I can't remember that name. He is an American surgeon, and he speaks in his TED Talk about his experience of becoming a surgeon and starting to practice in about 2003. And he found that for the first few years, he could actually feel himself improving. But then his complication rates also would drop. But then after a number of years, he realized that things weren't changing. He was not getting any better. Fortunately, he was not getting any worse, but he wasn't getting any better. And he thought, well, is this as good as it gets? And then he thought a little bit more, he says, and he said, well, why don't I get myself a mentor or a coach? And so he got hold of an old retired professor of his and said, please will you come into my operating theatre and watch me while I operate? Brave man, eh? The first time this professor came in, he thought, oh, this operation went perfectly. There's so little that this guy's going to be able to say about me. Actually, there was a whole page full. The professor handed it to him and said, just a few little things. It's always the little things. The devil's in the details. Small little things like, did you know that halfway through your operation you were actually operating under reflected light and not real light? Did you know that your elbow goes up, which means the surgeon isn't under full control of the operation? Small little details like this. Our Dr. Gawande submitted to this process. He reports feeling what I had felt. It's uncomfortable, don't like being looked at, don't like getting feedback, pointing out all the things that I do wrong. I get worse before I get better. But he felt after 2 months, he could feel himself learning again. And a full year later, that's a long time, his complication rate started to drop again. He had improved. So in closing, our epic journey is wonderfully populated by many formal and informal mentors. And I think we must just be brave enough to be willing to see who they are and to walk with them. Thank you very much.
You know, Lisa, you said it's really not nice looking at someone who's good at something you wish you were good at. And you were just here and you were talking so perfectly. I was like, really, that's a very true statement. So we're going to go to our fifth and final speaker, Ms. Monica from Peter's Eye. What a surprise.
I'm doing the same speech. and Leah will evaluate me on certain recommendations she gave me. And I started the previous speech, which is the speech tonight, with tapping on a little gadget. And I asked every one of you, how would you feel if somebody involuntarily taps into your life and brings disorder to it? I wouldn't like it. And yet, if I had not known systemic constellations, I would stand frozen, because I would not know how to step out. Systemic constellations is about people being in different systems. Toastmasters Swakopmund is a system in itself. Walvis Bay Toastmasters is a system in itself. Our family is a system in itself. Our work environment is also a system in itself, and everywhere I or others, if we talk about Swakopmund Toastmasters, I am fulfilling a role which is different to Walvis Bay and to my family and to my work environment. Just think of the different roles you are playing in your life. Now I am talking about the Orders of Love by Bert Hellinger, and I am so grateful for the speeches we heard tonight. A man who saw the woman of his life and still is together with the woman of his life. It touches my heart. Veronica speaking about cohabitation. Abisai opening his heart on the grief he feels. And Lisa talking about a mentor. All these aspects we find in systemic constellations. If we have a healthy family, then we stand a chance that our children stay healthy. If we go into cohabitation, the orders of love, the order of exchange is a different one, because the partners are not as bound together as they would be in a married couple, as a married couple. And then you will find that friction starts working in the souls of people. And when friction starts in the souls of people, then it is the place where you find that people, if they are not strong enough, that they take alcohol, that they take drugs, that they might become criminals. And in order to rehabilitate the people, we need the orders of love to empower them to walk on in life and straighten their life. I have been speaking about exchange in the family, where the woman supports the man, but also where the man takes the lead. That's very biblical. And in nowadays, where we have gender balance, we think, am I going to follow a man as a woman? Yes, I will. And he will support me. These are universal orders in life. And if we can look at them as universal orders, we will see that they can have healing effects on people, that they can heal systems. And if a small system can heal a family, a work environment, a club, then we stand chance that a whole society can heal. Coming back to the parents, to a family who raises children, it is a different family where parents stay together and raise their children than to people who cohabitate, than to people who are single parents, and then still to people who have a patchwork family. We should, however, watch out that we don't judge the people, because everybody brings their fate with them. You have family backgrounds, and you never know why people divorce, why they stay together in a marriage. Well, that is the ideal, or why they cohabitate, or something else happens to them. But if we take the orders of life into our heart, then I trust that will bring healing to our mankind.
You know, it's really control out the leader. Because today's speech is like a fluctuation of emotions. Huh? Started off with Eric with love and journey and it's excitement, and then Veronica came up with principles and cohabitation, and Abisai was all here with grief, and Lisa, wow, Lisa was motivation, and Monica now spirituality. I really like your speech. I think now we are going to give time to Mr. Mahafa to give us times just for the speeches, huh? And then, yeah, but let's give you the time and then I'll continue.
Okay. First speaker, Eric, 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Second speaker, Veronica Rosses, 6 minutes and 51 seconds. Third speaker, Abisai, 7 minutes on the dot. Fourth speaker, Lisa Holtz, 8 minutes and 8 seconds. Fifth speaker, Monica Badu, 7 minutes and 29 seconds.